Hi, Aries. Welcome to your bonus reading for the person that you're dealing with. So, for many of you, this will be a love reading, although it doesn't have to be because we all deal with all different kinds of people for all different kinds of reasons. So, let's just see what comes out. So, we have Strength, Six of Pentacles, and Justice. So with the Justice coming out so early in this reading, it feels like there was some kind of an imbalance in the energy. But it feels like there's been some kind of a payoff because I am seeing the Six of Pentacles too. So whatever was imbalanced feels like it's coming into balance, but it required a lot of strength and vitality and courage on your part, and perhaps more giving and less taking on your person's part to make that balance more just. So if you feel like you were giving more in a situation than the other person, it feels like it's balancing out. And you may already know that because it's happening so early in this reading. So let's open this spread up and see what else we can find. The Strength card being on your side, again, it feels like you had to really pull a lot of courage together in this case and continue to endure this situation even when you felt like it wasn't fair. But I think there was this knowledge coming through, maybe even an intuitive knowing coming through on your side that even if there was chaos or toxicity or a lack of effort on your person's side, that you continue to stand strong because you knew that there was a deeper meaning or a deeper reason to the whole thing. The Six of Pentacles on your person's side is giving me this idea that this person is now coming around to it. They understand. They perhaps are getting help from the spirit realm because we do have two majors here already. So they could be recognizing the error of their ways. They could be recognizing that they need to give more if they want you to remain in their life. And perhaps their higher self or their spirit guides were the ones that were encouraging them to do that. But let's start clarifying. So the 10 of Wands and the Page of Wands just popped out. So there was a sense of overwhelm for you, but you really hung in there. There is a strong sense of stick-to-itiveness coming through from you here. So Justice is clarified by the Tower. So I think that, yeah, I think that's what happened. I think this whole thing, this whole facade that this was built on where you were just going to give to this person indefinitely came to a screeching halt because that's not how energy works. And that was the Justice. Perhaps the two of you did break up or stop talking to each other or had a huge fallout because you were the one giving and they were the ones taking. That could be exactly what I'm seeing here. So why Justice and the Tower? So there's the Five of Swords, Two of Swords, and Three of Pentacles. It needed to be rebuilt. It used to be built on swords, but you can't build things on swords. You have to build things on pentacles. So it needed to be rebuilt. There had to be some purpose behind the amount of strength you were putting into this. There had to be some purpose behind why you're allowing this person to continue to grow with you or to come into your life with you or take your abundance. There has to be stability there. And I think it was causing you to perhaps be short of patience with this person. Perhaps you found yourself annoyed with them more than usual or more than you hoped to be, or you were finding ways to pick fights with this person because you weren't really being transparent about what the real problem was. And so I do think it left this person feeling like they didn't know what to do. That's why the Tower came down and divine intervention came in with Justice. Karma came in, their higher self came in, their guides came in and said, hold on, this is not going the right way. So you can stay together, but you can't stay together in the way that you were. You can rebuild with this Three of Pentacles. You can work together. You can be fair. You can each put three. You could put three in and they could put three in, but you're not giving them six anymore. So why do we have that Six of Pentacles? So there's the Ace of Wands. Yeah, I think this person just thought that that would go on forever. I think they thought that that would be fine with you, to just give and give and give, and that the light would never turn red for them, that they could just keep moving forward in this really fruitful relationship where they didn't have to do the work and you were doing all the work. It was requiring all of your strength. And I think that they thought for a while that that was sustainable. So we have the Star, the Knight of Swords, and the Hermit. So when this tower came down and they were forced out of your energy, so whatever that is, maybe you did break up, maybe you shut the door on them, maybe you told them not to come back ever, or not to come back until they're healed. But whatever that was, it really facilitated their healing. That was the impetus that required them to say, okay, something's wrong with my approach to this relationship. That, of course, this is not sustainable. Why did I even think that that was sustainable? And so I do think that they being distanced from you has made them wise in some ways, that that was their wake-up call for them, and that they've been able to do some really inner healing, some inner knowing. There may be some information that came through. I get the sense too, because there's so many majors in this, and now we're seeing 2 majors with your person and an ace. I get the sense that your person is probably a pretty clairvoyant, or a very spiritual, at least spiritual person, but I get the sense that they know a lot more on an intuitive level than perhaps they really came in with. And they know that there is some kind of path of service that they're meant to be on, either on their own or with you. They might not share that with you, but I think they understand that there's a deeper purpose to this relationship than they may be letting on, but they know. They definitely know. And they've had this huge epiphany, this huge wake-up call when it comes to certainly you, but I think spirituality in general. So the strength on your side is clarified by the Fool. In order for you to continue to take a risk on this person, which is what the Fool card is, you did have to dig deep and find that strength, even when you didn't want to, even when you were picking fights with them, or even when you were trying to perhaps get what you deserved in maybe underhanded ways, or perhaps being passive aggressive, or not just saying to them, this is what I need from you, but you would just get mad at them about other things. Perhaps make that make sense for you. Roles can always be switched. But in order for you to do that, to continue thinking you wanted to take a risk on this person, you had to dig deep. You had to, in order to see that this is deeper than just what your ego perhaps was allowing you to see. So there's the 9 of Pentacles, Judgment, and 9 of Cups. So these 2 9s are really giving me a sense of self for you, and that there was learning that needed to be done on your side as well. What this is really telling me strongly is the lesson for both of you, because both of you were meant to learn from this situation, because there's judgment on your side, which is an awakening for you too. Your lesson was to learn to love yourself and understand what a badass you are. You're Aries, for crying out loud. Your person's lesson was to be better, be more giving, be more, show up more in a relationship. And you were meant to value yourself. They're meant to be a better version of themselves. That is exactly what I'm seeing here. And I think that that has expanded your energy. I think that you have recognized your self-worth. I think you have recognized the amount of strength and vitality and courage that was required for you to stay here. But this time that you've both spent apart with the 9 of Pentacles and the Hermit, that time alone has made you both wiser in each of those respective ways that I was just describing. So why the 3 of Pentacles between you? So there's the Hanged Man. This was saying you have to look at this differently. This is not sustainable. You have to build this in a more stable and logical and sane way, is what this is saying. And that you were probably being kept out of each other's energy so that later you could come together and bridge this gap between the two of you. But that gap was never going to be bridged until you knew your self-worth and they became a better version of themselves. And so I do feel that the universe said, fine, we will give you another chance to come together, but it's got to be the right way this time. And if you've both learned your lessons, which it looks like you're at least learning. I think you've learned. I'm not sure yet. They're learning. I know that. So there's the King of Wands, the Moon, and the World. So the World is about this completion of cycles. This is about leveling up. And I think it required your person to really face their fears. So whatever that is for them, why they felt like they had to be lazy in the beginning or not giving and more of a taker, that was a very troubling thing for them to have to do. But with you coming in as the King of Wands, you were like the fearless leader with strength, King of Wands. But of course, you're an Aries, so this makes perfect sense. But you really showed this person the way. You showed this person like, hey, if you face your fears, we can build this together. We can wrap up this cycle. We can level up. We can follow the path of service we're meant to do together in this world. We can expand. We can awaken. So just follow me. And I feel like they're doing that, even though they can't see where they're going. They've got the Hermit and the Moon. They are not clear at all where you are leading them, but it feels like they're following you because they're looking to you like the leader in this situation with the King of Wands. So why the Hermit on their side? So there's the Chariot. So that's what was needed. I think we said that. That's what was needed to allow them to move forward in their growth, in their energy, in their wisdom with the Hermit. That they had to be put in a timeout with the Hermit so that they could do the healing and then they could come back and move this forward in the right way. So why the Hermit and the Chariot? Ace of Swords, Five of Pentacles, and Magician. This person has a much, much clearer vision than ever before. With the Magician and the Ace of Swords, they have so much clarity, more than they did before this tower came down. Certainly, they see now that their own lack mentality, where they needed to only take from you and they had nothing to give you, is what they felt. They were a victim of some sort. They put themselves in that mentality, but they can see it now. The Magician and the Ace of Swords are about visions, clear vision, manifestations, truth. So they know that even though they don't know where they're going with the Hermit and the Moon, they know that this is the right way. They can't see the next step in front of them, but they have an inner knowingness that this is the right way. So why the Nine of Cups on your side? So there's the King of Swords. This is about your truth. This is about your expansion. This is about also your knowingness and your awakening and your truth, that this expansion was meant for you on your own. And you're right about that. You were meant to expand your own energy. You were meant to be taken out of this person's life so that you could see your value. You could see what you bring to the table and not just needing to give to them so that they stay at the table. What you bring to the table. And that's what awoken you. That was the flow of information that came in for you and then caused your expansion. So why the Nine of Cups and the King of Swords for Aries? Two of Cups, Page of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. I love when I see this combination of the Page of Pentacles and the Hierophant, because this is my teacher and this is my student. This is just completely confirming that the two of you were meant to teach each other something. You were the teacher and the student. You taught this person, but you also learned from this. And what you learned was your own self-love. You learned that these Two of Cups does not have to be with this person. You learned that you are fully capable of loving yourself and someone else, but it doesn't have to be this person. And that was the lesson. And it's very clear to me that you have learned this. It appears to me that your person has learned it too, because the Ace of Swords is pointing right at the Moon, which is saying that even though they're scared, even though they don't know where they're going, they're still trusting this Ace of Swords that this is the right way. So it feels like they have learned too. But let's get you some advice to wrap this up. So the World is clarified by the Hermit. There's that wisdom, but now it's both of you. Your spiritual awakening came for both of you when you were separated. It was necessary. That separation was necessary. It was vital, in fact, to this connection working out so that you could follow your path of service, as I like to call it, when divine counterparts come together, it's not just so that they can have a blissful life together, it's so that they can then serve humanity in whatever ways they're meant to do that together. So 7 of Wands, 10 of Swords, and Ace of Wands. Well, that's just beautiful, isn't it? Then we have the 5 of Cups. This is about emotional healing. The 5 of Cups is surrendering those 3 cups so that you can turn around and grab the 2 cups that are still standing in front of you. But you had to do that healing first. That's what the 5 of Cups is. The 5 of Cups is acknowledging that those 3 cups have tipped over so that you can heal, you can grieve and heal from that. But that's what was required of this. This is so obvious to me that that's what this is about, that this is about putting an end to patterns and cycles and putting down defensiveness and guardedness so that you can really move forward with this Ace of Wands and take decisive action towards each other and start co-creating with the universe or whatever you're meant to do that's going to cause you all of this excitement and good time in your life, which is what the Ace of Wands is meant to be. Where your person was falsely thinking that their Ace of Wands was taking from you, now they realize their Ace of Wands is moving forward with you and co-creating with you. So there you go, Aries. That is your reading for the person that you're dealing with. Will you please let me know how this was resonant for you? Consider subscribing to the channel if you like my vibe, and we will do this again sometime. Thanks, everybody. Bye.